Why hello human beings, how you doing today? My name's Central Q and thank you for visiting my channel. Now today we're going to go ahead and talk about a Nintendo fanboy, which I found this out by watching Joe from Seattle. So we're going to go ahead and see what he's going to say about the PC because he tried both. So hope you enjoy yourselves. Hope you like the new arrangement. I kind of moved my PC somewhere else and this got me a little bit more into a little bit better, a little bit more lighting. I don't have to use a lot of light, so it made it look a lot better in my opinion. Concentrating on trying to get a green screen. So yeah, let's just go ahead and try out the new setup and see how this enclosure gonna be. Be right there. Okay, so now on at his video is called Console is Better Than PC. I'm kind of hovering over the name, but at the moment we're gonna go ahead and see why you think console is better than PC, and I'll give you my two takes on that. So let's go ahead and start the video, and let's go ahead and give our own criticism.
Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? It's the Otakunater coming at you live from his room, having a good old time, playing some video games, everything like that, and I'm here with another gaming video to bring to you, and I think today we're going to actually step on some toes, which is going to be fun. We're going to talk about one of the greatest topics I think every gamer has had a discussion about at some point in their lives or another, and that's the ever so highly, heavily debated, PC versus console, which do you like better, which thing is better. Now personally I think that all gaming platforms are great. I mean, I have a gaming PC, I have a PlayStation 4, I've built several gaming PCs and I've upgraded my PC several times, and of course, as everybody knows, my all-time favorite, the magical number 3, is Nintendo Switch, and I love Nintendo first-party games.
This part right here, I do agree with him. If you like a platform, go ahead and enjoy it. He say that everybody should play on a current platform, and I agree. If you'd like to play on a PC, go for it. Xbox, go for it. PlayStation, go for it. And Nintendo, go for it. I think that's a key thing that a lot of people don't understand. Just because you play games on a certain platform doesn't mean that you're so consistently want to play on that platform. You could be a gamer and you can play on anything else. It doesn't matter if you play exclusive and stuff like that. Exclusive, third party, stuff like that. We're all gamers. We should play all the games, but just because he said this doesn't mean that I disagree with all the other stuff he's going to say. So let's continue.
I love Nintendo consoles, I always have, and I'm pretty sure I'll always will be. But I wanted to see what all the hype was about in terms of the PC stuff. So within the last few years, I got very deep and in-depth with PC building, PC gaming, all that good stuff, just to see kind of like what it offered. If there's such a huge, heavy cult following behind it, usually I get curious and want to see what the big deal is.
I don't think it's a cult following. I think people is just curious about what's up with the PC market, and they want to go ahead and play on a platform which been told that have better hardware and all that stuff, and they wanted the piece of that pie technically, and I got stuck into it myself a long time ago. So yeah, PC, you're gonna get a lot for PC. The only thing that now you get everything with PC, that's all. Debate on backwards compatibility, because PC been around so long, there's not any game that backwards compatible, but that's just a brand new, that's just a way to call your system could play old games. So console could have the word backwards compatible, while we could still play games that is old. Technically it's not backwards compatible. Could be a debate right there. I will say console, only thing they have is backwards compatibility, but if that's a way of saying playing old games, then that's irrelevant.
So I've done it for several years now, pretty happy with it, I enjoy it, but of course in terms of the personal experience, obviously, What's better, PC or console? Personally, I'm still team console. At the end of
I will agree with him on this because I think it's a personal preference that if you want to go with console, that's fine. That's totally up to you. If you prefer to play on console, that's still good because I know some people out there will appreciate the PC and realize what the PC could do, but they still prefer to play on console, even though they know that the superior is going to be towards PC. So I can see why, but I want to know the reason why he think console is better than PC.
the day, I still think console's better than PC. I still think it's, a lot better gaming experience than PC. And I know I'm going to step on some toes as to why.
Ever since I switched over to PC, I think I have more better experience on a PC than I would on my Nintendo Switch. As you can see, I used to be a Nintendo fanboy, but since I got PC, it was a night and day. Uh, I disagree with him on this. I think the better experience is going to be on console because you got better hardware, you got superior hardware, and the hardware could play everything you want. And then not only just play, you can also edit. You can also do so much. You could, like I say, edit. You could stream better on the PC. You got so many programs on on the PC that you can't get on a console. So to me, I think it's superior is on PC.
But we'll go ahead and get into the reasons. Obviously, I'm not just going to sit here and leave you hanging and not tell you why I feel this way. I definitely have done I've done, it's literally years of just in depth in both, and kind of finally decided, you know what, at the end of the day, I still feel like I'm going to stream more console games. I still feel like I'm going to be more in tune with the console community. But
And that's fine. If you want to go ahead and stream console games, that's okay because I'm planning to stream console games as well. I'm a big fan of Splatoon and Metroid now. I want to do more of that on this channel, and I also want to stream some PC game on my PC. So while I'm doing this change and everything, it's going to be a different outtake when I'm going to do that. So yeah, if you want to stream console, you can do that, and with a PC, you can get better streaming with console than you will get on a console. So there you go.
of course, we'll get into the reasons. Like I told you, reason number one is because one, gaming PC is super, really ridiculously expensive.
PC gaming is expensive. No, I built a gaming PC for my sister for under $500. It's not expensive. If you look for the right parts, it's not going to be very expensive. My sister PC, even though I have no graphics card in it, it have an integrated graphics where she could still play games at a respectful frame rate. So as far as you saying that console is more cheaper than PCs, I feel like that's wrong. And let's just hear his opinion.
Any BS that any PC gamer tells you about PC gaming is cheaper than console and give you a better experience than console for a less price is lying to you 100%. They're not ready to talk about it, but dude, I'm telling you straight up, it's a lie. It's not true. And anything you can build that's less than a console, whether it's secondhand or not, will usually not last 2 years. You'll have to upgrade something. You'll have to rebuild your PC. You're going to have to do something.
No, because even if you go to the secondhand market, the PC is still going to outperform the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series X. Not Series X, I'm sorry, Xbox One X. And the fact that you don't see how you have to update every 2 years to get a better experience in your area doesn't mean that PC could do that. I still see people online who play with the 1080 Ti still, and they still have a better experience than console. And that card is old. You even got people that are playing with the 9 series, the 8 series. So the fact that they still playing the games and they still playing at right now is false where you upgrading. What I'm thinking is, well, a lot of people that are playing on console, they feel like what I think it is every time a new part come out, the old one is obsolete, which is not true. They just thinking about a new part come out, I should get that and everything. No, if you do your research and you take your time and you keep in your budget, then those parts is those parts you don't really need. You can still game with the parts that you research and everything and put together yourself. But let's continue.
So don't believe for a freaking second that is the biggest lie I think the PC community tells gamers, is that PC gaming is cheaper. It is not.
I want to bring up a video by this person called Rags. I don't know if he make YouTube channels, I make YouTube videos anymore, but let me bring up the video for the people who don't realize the costs of PC parts. I mean, not PC parts, but the cost of in the long term. So give me one moment.
Well, that's not true at all. I mean, you just said it a moment ago. But let's look at things from this perspective. Let's take a hypothetical scenario where one person buys a gaming PC and the other buys an Xbox One upon its launch, spending $700 and $500 respectively. This includes everything it needs to operate. Now, after 1 year, assuming 4 games were bought by both people, the PC gamer paying $40 a game and the console gamer paying $60. In reality, though, this is very conservative. As I mentioned in a previous video, when Doom was released, I bought it for $32, which, compared to going to GameStop and buying it, saves me $34 after taxes. Not every deal may be that good, though. The Xbox owner must also factor in, at the cheapest, $50 for a year of Xbox Live, meaning the gap is closed to $70. At year 2, they spend the same amount of money as they did before, 4 games each, Xbox Live. The gap is closed to $60, however, it's now in the PC's favor. After 2 years, the PC gamer is $60 ahead, even though he used to be $200 behind. Let's go ahead and go to year 3. If they spend the same amount of money as they did before, it means that after 3 years, the PC gamer will have spent, in this scenario, $1,180, and the console owner will have spent $1,370. This should not be considered a be-all, end-all argument, of course, because individual people will make individual choices on what games they may buy. They may buy more or less than that many games per year. They may buy extra controllers. They may not buy Xbox Live. The PC gamer may or may not upgrade or get new peripherals or what have you. That is just one example, though. They can vary wildly. It just goes to show that it's very possible that a PC gamer ends up spending less in the long run. In fact, I'll bet that happens most of the time. At the Xbox Live, the more expensive games, the expensive controllers, the television price over a monitor price, it all adds up. And it keeps adding up, and it keeps adding up, and it keeps adding up. Obviously, individual consumers will make their own choices, and those choices will vary. But in this circumstance, you could see how it's very possible.
So there go the points for Rags, and I think that will show how in the long run PC could be cheaper. Now, if you upgrading parts and everything like that every single week, every single day, stuff like that, then you're gonna see more expense on your PC build. But if you just build one system, that is $500-$700. If you stick with that system, in the long run, PC is a lot cheaper. No subscription, no hidden feeds. You pay less for your games because there's always a deal online that you can always look for. The fact that you can spend less on PC gaming is incredibly on PC side compared to console. So when you saying that it costs more, you're thinking from the start, like from the get-go, from like right now. I want to spend the money right now to build this PC, where you're not thinking in the long run, because in that part in particular time, years after years after years even with Rags example, PC is going to be a lot cheaper than console, and that's without getting like a console for free or somebody giving it to you or somebody giving you a PC or whatever. There is, if you build a PC for $700 compared to getting the console for $500, in the long term, console always going to be more expensive. Like right now, right off the rip, PC is going to look expensive, but like you say, year one, year two, the price going to drop down depending on the price, like $40 games compared to $60 games. And I know you play Nintendo games, so apparently they're expensive. But let's continue with the video because in this situation, you are wrong, sir.
We'll go ahead and take a look at some of the stuff I have. And I don't have like the top of the line things. There's like maybe my graphics card, but that's it. But let's go ahead and take a look at the stuff that I have, and then I'll show you like the prices of, what I have and how much they are today, and what can you expect from something that's like a monitor that's just the basic 1080, 60 to 75 frames per second, that it only goes up to that, like my less expensive.
You got a 75 hertz monitor. I'm not saying that the monitor is bad, but you could have got a better monitor than 75 hertz, 1080p. I mean, you could get 1080p 144 hertz, but a 75 hertz monitor, you didn't have to get a monitor, as I can see right there. You could have you could just use your TV. So yeah, that's one way you could cut corners. Don't get the monitor and put it on the TV. Therefore, you overspent right there. You didn't have to get a monitor unless you wanted one.
Graphics cards and everything like that. But yeah, anyway, I'll show you what I have, and I'll show you how much those are right now. All right, let's take a look under the hood of my awesome gaming PC. So I'm rocking the...
I'm going to move my camera over so we can look at his little list. Give me 1 second. Okay, let me see if I can...
The RTX...
Okay, can't really see it because it's kind of faded. Number one, I got a problem with this is he kind of blend the text and he blended with his picture of his PC, which it looked nice, RGB everywhere, but you should have just put up a PC part picker up. And I'll show you what I would have done because I got software where I can actually show you my specs. But GeForce RTX 2080 Super. Drivers, I don't know why you're showing your drivers, but okay. AMD Ryzen 7 2700 8-core processor. Okay, you got 31.93. Dude, you could have said 32 gigs of RAM. And you put up your monitor specs, which I don't get. 1920 by 1080, 75 hertz. You could have put this all in your PC part picker list and they would have showed perfectly. Or let me show you what I would have done. As you can see, I got my list right here. I'm running NZXT Cam beta version because I got a NZXT cooler. I write in AMD Ryzen 5800, AMD Ryzen 6900 XT, ASRock X570 Taichi Razer Edition, 14 group, UD4 3600 DDR4, 3600 storage. I got three SSDs. I got three SSDs for my storage. Then here go my audio specs right there, so on and so forth. Network. So all of this right here is my specs of my PC. It doesn't show full. Yeah, it shows all the key things for my specs on my PC. You could look up the price yourself. I don't feel like doing all that, but there go my specs of my PC right there. It's already listed. I don't have to type nothing in. You don't even know what monitor I run. I run the Razer monitor that gave me 144 hertz refresh rate, but that's not necessary. I'm a big Razer fan, and I'm running it. Matter of fact, most of my parts is either Razer or affiliate with Razer, but you don't need what I have because I went with it. You don't need the specs that I have because it's not necessary. Because as you can see, mine's is more of a hey, I want this, I want that. But you can always go with the bare the bones if you want to save money. So you could go ahead and save as much money for performance. That's what it's all. And plus you got RGB RAM, RGB fan, and your cooler RGB, but it comes with it. You can always cut corners and not go with RGB, but since you went with it, that's what you wanted. So therefore, I think what you're doing is you comparing your experience instead of looking at all the ins and out. So therefore, all the money that you spent right there with your RGB RAM, RGB fans, stuff like that, you could always find better ways to spend your money. You don't have to go RGB and the PC will look just fine. But that's what you went with. So, and plus you added your monitor, which I don't get. You could use your TV if you needed to. I use my TV to do a reboot drive and everything because it's right there and boop boop. See my system boot up and my TV showed me everything I needed. But let's continue.
2080 Super. I do have the Ryzen 7 2700 in terms of CPU. I have 32 gigs of RAM. Of course, it's all RGB in terms of the fans, the RAM, and of course the CPU fan. Again, gotta prove with the RTX logo. But let's go ahead and go over to Newegg and check the prices on like stuff that I have now and of course stuff that I've used previously. We'll start with the graphics card first. I will previously before this, and I still have it, I had the GTX 1660.
Why would you show a price of a graphics card that's not in your system? And this is where I think a lot of people that play on console think they need to do. You're showing the price on your old graphics card that you don't even use. We don't need to see the old graphics card. We need to see what's in your system now. And this is where I think that this is where they spend the money. Oh, I spent whatever cost this graphics card is to, I want to compare it to your PlayStation 4. You pay money for your PlayStation 4, and now you got a PlayStation 4 Pro. You see how that works? Do you still got the old PlayStation 4? We're not going to count that because you upgraded to a PlayStation 4 Pro. It's the same thing with the graphics card. Why would you tell us about your 1660 to give us a price in that area? I don't want to know the price of your old PlayStation 4. I want to know the price of your PlayStation 4 Pro. It's the same thing with a graphics card. I don't want to know your old graphics card price. I want to know your new graphics card price.
The OC edition, just looking at the normal like.
And for any console gamer that's trying to game, right? That price right there is overpriced. $239 for a 1660 Super is overpriced. It should be at least $150, $200. That's overpriced.
Current models, we're looking at like, $339, $249, so almost $300 for some of this model. So that's about over half the price of like a PlayStation 4 Pro, and this
is where I don't dislike how people is comparing the graphics card to a console. The graphics card does not make the console. The graphics card does not make it a full PC. You gotta build it, and yes, from the start, PC going to be expensive as soon as you buy it build it from the ground up at the beginning. But throughout long experience of time, it's going to be more expensive.
That's the Pro. That's not even the normal PlayStation 4. That's almost the full price of an actual normal PlayStation 4. And of course, you go secondhand on either the card or the console, you're still going to pay about relatively the same in terms of differences. But let's go ahead and take a look at the graphics card versions I have currently, the 2080 Super. And yeah, we're looking at the $700, $800, dollar range, and of course some of them going up to $1,000.
That's okay. That's way overpriced. I don't think you understand. We're in the pandemic. It hurt businesses a lot. And the fact that those prices right there is overpriced. Pandemic slowed down the manufacturer of the PC parts. Chips was short, GPUs was short. Everything that you could think of is short because they had to make protocols of trying to work and create more things. Also, that hurt the people who had to work at home. They had to build PCs in order to work from home. So GPUs are a high priority. So you can't put the price right now. That's overpriced. It's like, oh wow, the PlayStation 4 is $1,000. That is way too much than I expected. Why would I spend $1,000 on a PlayStation 4? That is way too expensive for my taste. I don't know if I could spend $1,000 on a PlayStation 5. You see what I'm doing? What is this telling you? Scalpers. That's the thing. People is going to go bring up the price of hot ticket items. They're going to buy it. They're going to resell it for a profit. So the fact that this PlayStation 5 is $1,000, you think that's genuine? No, it's not. It's the same thing as your graphics card. The graphics card is that much because of the high of is more expensive because everybody want it. Same thing with graphics card. Everybody want it. That's why it's at a high price because of that reason. You should know how the market work. Higher price, $1,000. I could say $1,000 for a PlayStation 5. But you're going to tell me that, oh, that's just a scalp price. Really? Really scalp price? And these are not? These not scalp prices? Dude, quit lying to your to your audience, man. It's a scalp price. Let's continue.
Depending on the brand, the model, and of course, those are almost 2 PS4 Pros or 2 Xbox One X Series Pros, whatever the heck the Xbox calls them. I don't know. I've never really been an Xbox fan all that much.
The reason why you got PlayStation and Nintendo honestly, I think it's because of a Japanese RPG stuff. I'm just guessing. You might like it because you probably stay away from the Xbox because of that, but I could be wrong.
But yeah, I mean, graphics cards alone, you're looking at dropping a pretty penny, and then these are just like the 1660 is considered one of the lower tier graphics cards. The only graphics cards underneath that is the 1650. So I mean, it's expensive, like I mentioned. And we'll go into the CPUs. Let's go ahead. This is the current Ryzen 7s. They're the 3000 series. They're looking at $300.
My guess is this is video during the pandemic because this video is about a year old, and looking at the time, this is like a video that you did before you realized about the 5000 series. Again, people building PCs because of the pandemic and scalpers. So, and miners and stuff like that. So you got to understand that these are hot ticketed items. They're going to be kind of high. But that right there, why are you looking at the Ryzen 7? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I understand that you got a better card. I think you got a Ryzen 7. I'm not sure. But yeah, those are cards that people want to use for other stuff. But not cards, but CPU. But $294 is not a bad price. This was before 5000 series been introduced.
By themselves. Of course, here's the Ryzen, 3000 Series X, again, $35 more, and of course we have the Ryzen 9s. These are like Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9 prices. These are getting into like the current generation that I have. We're still looking at $300 still. $300 for mine, and of course, just, wow, like, come
dude, there we go. We got Ryzen 3 1200. That's a first gen. Ryzen 5 2600. That's a second gen. Yeah, these prices are going to be expensive because they're a hot ticket item as well as the graphics cards. So you got to understand that hot ticket items going to cost more money. But those prices are respectable in that situation.
Come on, my guys, look at the prices. I mean, of course, if you decide to go Ryzen 5, that's a whole totally different animal. I mean, but I recommend if you want to do any kind of streaming, you get the Ryzen 7 at least. And of course, just avoid the Ryzen 3.
If you're building a PC, don't avoid the the chipset that you need. You can still stream with that type of chipset if you get some software that doesn't bottleneck the CPU. Get something that use the GPU over the CPU. But when he say don't get a Ryzen 3, if you're building a gaming PC, get what you can, especially this Ryzen 3 3200, 4 cores, 3.6 gigahertz. I got this in my sister's build. This same CPU, because it comes with Radeon graphics, and that's basically a graphics card in the CPU. It's going to do gaming just fine if you can't find a GPU. If you want to play esports and stuff like that, that's actually pretty good. Especially how popular esports is. That's a decent chip to get you started. And for $90, you can't beat that price.
But yeah, man, I mean, come on, like, dude, look at this. Look at this. $500 for the Ryzen 7. It's insane. And mind you, this is the current CPU I have in my system, the Ryzen 2700, the Ryzen 7 2700. But yes, let's go ahead and take a look at the monitors, because like right there between your CPU costing $300 and your graphics card $200 on the low end, that's $500. That's already more than a console.
Dude, you overspent for your monitor. I'm not gonna lie. I understand a year make a difference, but I got a LG monitor, 32-inch. It got the same specs as you got right there, and it cost me $160. It doesn't look like this. It doesn't look gamery. It's just a 32-inch, 1920 by 1080, 16:9 aspect ratio, 75 hertz, 5 milliseconds, and it have everything that you have right here. You overpaid for it because I got a same monitor but bigger downstairs, and it cost me $160. So you overpaid. You should have looked.
So, but let's go ahead and check my monitor. We're looking at the 27-inch LG gaming monitor. Of course, the model number's right there. Doesn't have a name, just a model number, so I don't feel like saying it. $216. And this is just a 1080. Nothing higher than that. 1080p, and of course the max frame rates you can get is 75 frames per second, which looks really good, honestly. It definitely looks a lot better than 60 frames per second. I feel like you can tell the difference. But let's go ahead and just take a look at the case. My case is so old, Newegg doesn't even sell it anymore. When I went and clicked on it, of course it gives me the out of stock. Like, they don't even make this case anymore. That's how old it is. But I was able to find it on Amazon, so I mean, let's go ahead and take a look-see over there. So once I'm going through the Raid Max cases, there's the white version, but of course I got the black version. So for a comparison, I decided to get that. So found it after, it looks like I scroll past it. Oh, there we go. So we're looking at $67.99. So let's just say $70, because after taxes and shipping, you're looking at $70 for the case, $200, and that's being generous. That's being nice.
You could have got yourself a better case than that. I mean, there's other cases out there that you could look for, and I felt like you never did this, but there's other cases out there that you could have got that was like $50, $40, and it looked just as good as this. Matter of fact, it might do better performance. So you could have done something way different, but you went with this. Now, if it's your choice, then that's fine. I can't argue with it, but don't argue about the price and how much you spent on stuff that you want.
$100 for the monitor, $300 for the CPU, and $200 for the graphics card. Honestly, you can buy the most current gen console with games and probably a nice TV for that much. Alright, so now that we got into that and the pricing, and I proved to you that even just 3 things alone combined will cost you more than a console.
Dude, if you're gonna spend that much money, that's on you. That is on you. You didn't do enough research on the parts that you could have picked up. Because if I could do the same thing right now and pick up the parts that I can in PC Part Picker, because don't tempt me. You know what? Give me one moment. I'm about to do it right now. All right, I'm back. I did a quick research on the parts. Ryzen 3 3200, Tomahawk, G Skill, Team Force, Mach X1, 750 watts. You can add a graphics card in when you want, but right now graphics cards are really expensive, especially this CPU, which I don't know why it's $224. If we look up the CPU, it's at $99 at Best Buy, but it's out of stock. So we're going to take that $99 and we'll go put it with that price. If we take away $128, it will be like $500. So the fact that you see prices will skyrocket some of these parts up, but if you look around and look for prices, then it's going to be cheaper. The fact that you don't recognize this is beyond me. So the fact that you're not looking at the prices is lying to your fan base, and the fact that you can't look for prices is because you spent money on those prices is also lying to your fan base. And then the fact that you don't have to add a monitor, you can use your own TV, is also lying to your fan base. So you need to stop lying to your fan base. Tell them that you can always build PC parts for cheap, because I would never tell my viewers, hey, these prices are too expensive. What I do is I make a list, I send it to them, and I tell them to look up the parts themselves so they know they could get the cheapest parts. So the fact that you can't do that for your own fan base is ridiculously to me. And yes, I choose the Ryzen 3 3200 just because price to performance. So yeah, you could build a PC for less than a console. $500. Because I'm giving this a $500 build. It'll work just fine. Let's continue with the video because that was a little bit too long.
It's just insane. Like, it's like, and like I said, my case is out of date. You know, my freaking, I showed you my older graphics card, my newer graphics card, and of course this is not considering the power supply, the motherboard, the RAM, you know, the monitor.
Because you spent money on those parts doesn't mean anybody else wants to spend money on those parts. That is on you. It's not on the other people like myself. Yeah, I spent money on this PC right next to me, but for my sister PC, I only spent less than $500. Those parts always fluctuate. At the time, well, yes, I built it for less than $500, but it might be $500, it might be $600. Prices fluctuate. That's how PC parts work.
The mouse, the keyboard, the mouse pad, the webcam, the microphone if you're going to actually stream, the games, and it's dude, it's expensive.
It's not expensive because you're not putting that same thought process towards a console. I could say that PlayStation 4 was $1,000. I'm probably going to have to get a higher monitor, a higher TV for it, and that's like probably what, $2,000. Then I also have to get a microphone so I could use for streaming on PlayStation. Oh, I forgot a headset. I gotta get the PlayStation headset. Oh, I might want another controller. That's another price. You see, you're not doing that with the console, but you're doing that with the PC. You're not being fair in this situation. Oh, also look at Nintendo. I bought the same exact controller that you got on the counter. You see, that was $100. Oh, you got all those amiibos. How much those amiibos cost you? What about those posters with Mario and stuff? How much did that cost you? So the fact that you don't do that to the console, meaning that you're being just ingenuine. So yeah, I feel like you're not being truthful to your community.
So again, it is a lie. They will tell you it's not. It is. I don't care what they say about the secondhand market. You can do the same thing with console and it'll still be cheaper.
What he's telling you is a lie. How about that? He's not being genuine. What he's telling you is a lie.
It is a lie, and I will freaking preach this to the day I die, because that is my biggest pet peeve about the PC community. They say that with such conviction, and it's so bullshit.
My sister PC is $500. I keep on saying this. It was under $500. It could play games. The fact that you went and bought more games, matter of fact, my sister didn't even spend money on games at all. So it's still under that $500 mark. So yeah, it's cheaper than console. Yeah.
And that's why I'm here telling you today, don't believe it for a second. So if you want a good gaming experience with PC, you're going to have to pay for it. That's fine. I mean, I didn't mind paying for it. I'm very happy with what I paid for, and I'm looking to upgrade some stuff in the future. But it's not cheap. Don't believe it is. Don't listen to them.
And this is where I think a whole bunch of people, especially this console peasant, which I'm going to give him the name console peasant because he's not being genuine. He said he want to upgrade more towards the end. I just need to get lights for my cables. After that, I'm done. I don't need to upgrade for 10 years down the line. In the future, yeah, I'm going to upgrade, but I don't need to upgrade anytime soon. My PC is just fine as is. Yeah. Now, chair, I am going to get a new chair. That's my choice. People, if you want to get a chair for your PC, you can. You don't have to, but you can. So yeah, it's just that simple, Spend money that you want to. If you want to spend cheap on your PC, you can. If you want to spend money on a console, you can. But I'm not going to sit there and tell you a lie in that situation. It's a lot cheaper in the long run for PC, yes. But if you just want the system now and you're trying to build a PC towards that, console is cheaper. You could buy yourself an Xbox Series S for $300 that really you can't get with a PC. Yeah. If you don't want to pay for Game Pass, you could pay for Game Pass, you can, but if you don't want to pay for Game Pass, that's fine. There's options in everywhere. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. If you want a long run save, PC is going to be the way. But if you just want to pick up a game and play, not spending no money on online services and stuff, maybe console's your way too. But you can still build a PC close or maybe a little bit more than a console. So yeah, I'll give you options.
This is expensive. All right, so let's go ahead and go into reason number 2. Really hard to find. I mean, while I was searching, for those component lists and everything like that, searching with those, I noticed a lot of things were out of stock. Like the reason why the Ryzen 7 that I had was, $500 was because it was sold out by all the actual official retailers and sellers. And Newegg hardly had anything on sale. It was usually all through secondhand marketers. Same thing with Amazon.
It depending on the parts that you get, because I found some of the parts and I went and got them and they was in stock. It depends on the price that you look for. You could find them out there. You just have to search. But yeah, because of the pandemic and people working from home and people trying to do streaming and stuff, and what's that word? Scout and mining. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard to find some parts. I kind of want to get a 1,000-watt power supply, but they're either expensive or I can't find any. So yeah. It's going to be hard to find some, but I'm good with my 850-watt power supply.
Best Buy's usually always sold out. Components, especially now, are really hard to find and usually overpriced. But everybody's like, oh, the COVID thing, blah blah blah. But it was even when I was upgrading, it was always a slow upgrade process because it was always hard to find PC components. I couldn't find a power supply for a long time, and the graphics card that I have requires a 750-watt power supply. I had to go to a used PC repair store to find one, and I found a $750 Corsair modular.
I think he meant 750 watt, but you found one. Congratulations. Why do you think it was hard to find one? You found one. You did your research. You look around. You found one.
modular power supply for like $50. The guy was nice. He knows I go in there a lot, so he was just like, "Oh hey, yeah, sure, dude. You're always coming in here. I'll sell you this for $50." Like, thanks. So I was lucky there. But like, it's really hard to find those pieces. It's really hard to like actually build a PC, especially now. But even in the past, it was so hard to do. Let's see, but I'll go ahead and get off that high horse. Next thing I want to talk about is it's machine focused, like the RGB, the LEDs, like how cool your machine looks, how clean it is. There's whole YouTube videos on like that people have just roasting PC build, and it's just like the wires are not exactly pretty and pristine and clean and 100%. Like, it's all about the machine. Like,
three things. Number one, you got no reason to talk about RGB, and you got RGB in your system. You made that choice. You didn't have to get RGB if you're not worried about your system be pretty. So that's on you. So that argument is deleted. Number two, the reason why you gotta have as much clear cables in your system as possible is this thing called overheating. You want as much airflow through your system as possible. And the reason why is because your system got to breathe. You got a whole bunch of components. You got a 2080 Super in your system. You need that system to be cool. You really want airflow to come out of your system as much as possible so it can stay cool. That's why you want as much airflow in your system as possible. And number three,
back with another PC roast. Actually, we're going to be roasting PCs and setups today. 2 in 1 video. Sweet. There are going to be some of you who I'm only roasting your PCs, and others of you I'm only roasting your setups, and then the rest of you I'll be roasting both. It just kind of depends on what's good in the hood. Full disclaimer, these types of videos are for entertainment purposes only. This is a comedy roast, and all the people being featured understand.
So as you can see, they say that it was for comedy purposes. The fact that you got salty for that and he put a disclaimer in there telling me that you can't handle criticism. And that's sad because criticism is supposed to make you better. People criticize me all the time. I take the criticism and I say thank you for the criticism. It's going to help me become better. Like when somebody told me that I need to edit my video, I was like, thank you for the criticism. And now I edit my videos. It's not the greatest editor in the world. I'm striving to be better. Is this long work hours, but that's still no excuse. The fact that you can't take criticism telling me that you think that was serious. It's telling me that you don't see how a joke is supposed to be. So why would you, it just baffled me because it's criticism. He say it's supposed to be a joke. You didn't take it as a joke. You took it as, oh, the community want to be serious about it. So yeah, that's on you. You can't get the joke. You don't like criticism. So that's why I'm criticizing you. Just because you don't like criticism doesn't mean I'm not going to criticize you. I'm going to criticize you as this video. And I hope you see it.
It's the love for the machine. Games, they use games as benchmarks. Like, so they'll use The Witcher 3, Shadows of the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I forgot what the newest one is. The newest Tomb Raider game's apparently a benchmark game. Far Cry 5 is a benchmark game. Battlefield 5 is a benchmark game. So these games are used as benchmarks, but I hardly ever hear the PC community talk about games, talk about getting excited.
Are you serious? We enjoy games. We want our hardware to push our games to the limits. That's why we enjoy hardware in games. For people that play on console, like yourself, don't care about what hardware it is as long as play your Zelda or your Metroid or your Splatoon, Animal Crossing. You don't care about the machine. You care about the games. We care about the games and the machine. That's why we get the parts so we can push our games to the limit. We want to see how powerful our system is. It's like, and I like to bring up cars. It's like this. What's the point of buying a car that go fast? I'm just wanting to get from point A to point B. But to people that do like drag racing, like to race on like to race on the street and stuff, they buy the parts so they could get the most out of their system. And that part you will never understand. We love games, but we want to see our system perform the game as much as possible. You don't get that because you just want your system to play the games and that's it. We want our system to play the games, but also want to see how strong it is, how powerful it is, and that would help. That would get us revved up. Come on, man! It's exciting.
For this, getting excited for that, like, oh, I can't wait for this game, or stuff like that. It's usually always about the machine. Like, I heard more hype about the new i7 10 generation or 10th generation CPUs than I do about any games coming soon. That's just like, it's the love's about the machine. I mean, which is fine. I guess if you're investing that much money in it, obviously you want your machine to be, freaking awesome, but that's just not what I'm into. Yeah, sure, I mean, I want a good PC and I want it to run games, but I also want it to stream well, which is why I need it. I think even with a 2080 Super now, when I look at Task Manager, my GPU is still being used at like max 25%.
The dude I got this from, Joe from Seattle, and he did this video on you. He got a secondary streaming system that run I don't know if it's a Ryzen 3 or a Intel i3 and a 1080 or a 1070. It's old generation, but he could stream off of that. That's his second streaming PC. So the fact that he could stream off of that, meaning that you don't need those parts. You could just stream with the basic of a basic.
It's usually like 20 to 25%. So that's why I kind of wanted that strong graphics card to begin with, because Streamlabs uses that as a streaming encoder, so to say. So
you could use your graphics card to stream your system, so it doesn't matter about the CPU. So you can have an i3 and still stream with the GPU over the CPU. Huh.
Kind of glad I got that. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and versus Nintendo stuff, for example, like when they talked about the new developers coming in from Battlefield 5 developers, stuff like that. I mean, I can't remember exactly who all it was.
Okay, everybody. Let me tell you something. I hate rumors with a passion. I'm a Knicks fan. From NBA, I'm a Knicks fan. Everybody was talking about Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving coming to the Knicks. And then we get in the first round draft pick for Zion Williamson. Everybody was talking about that. You know what happened? We didn't get it. So why would I believe in rumors until it's legit? That's why I think a lot of people should understand. Rumors are rumors. Do not keep your hopes up, because I'm not. So take rumors with a big, huge grain of salt, because that's what I'm doing.
But they were talking about the game, they're excited about the game. They were excited that, the Metroid Prime trilogy might get released in June, thanks to this, Swedish website or whatever, said that it was June 19th was the release date. I feel like console communities are excited about the games.
And where is Metroid Prime 4? It's not even here. I'm a big Metroid fan. And Metroid Prime 4 is not, Metroid Prime trilogy is not here yet. So why would you believe in rumors?
It's the product. We all have, consoles, we all have the same machine. We're not, comparing our wiener sizes, basically.
Wait. Hold up. You're talking about consoles, talking about the games and not the technology. But yet, I hear PlayStation fans talking about the SSD in the PlayStation. They do talk about hardware. It's just you don't want to admit that.
By our builds, we all have the same machine, so that just leaves room for only one thing to appreciate, and that's the content on those systems. And then that brings me to my next point in terms of comparing wiener sizes by your build. The PC community sucks. Like it's bad. Like it's toxic. And the toxicity is rampant.
Bro, I'm telling you,
Well,
it's all about talking.
you know
What you
what,
have,
bro?
like,
They are lucky I'm not the president of the United States, because I would ban the motherfuckers from buying a PS5.
you can't do that.
The fuck I could. I would.
No, you cannot.
You want to know why? You want to know why I would
That's
do
a
that?
fucking product. You have the right to purchase,
Fuck.
bro.
The thing is, if you're not planning
the
on
price?
buying at least 5 to 6 games a year, it's just a waste of your fucking investment.
Well, this nigga would have been the worst person ever.
I would have.
How y'all doing?
I would have put the PC port begging
That
trolls
bomb's
in
cute.
jail just for begging for games. I would have done it. These are things I would have
Yo,
done.
this nigga's the fucking
I
show,
would've done
bro.
it.
Like,
I would have made sure every Xbox fan wears a clown nose and makeup
No.
every day.
bro, that is against the law, man.
No. We just want to know.
Yes.
We want to know what they look like. Okay, we don't want them like
Bro,
know what
yo,
they look
something's
like.
against the
Yeah, that was JTech. One of the worst console peasant in the history of console peasantry. He's a PlayStation fan. Also, you also got people. He said that on one of his streams. Also, you got people who want somebody injured just because of God of War. You have people that want to shoot up Sony because they don't like certain things. You got people mad because Sony games going to PC. And you tell them PC is toxic? Dude, I want to hear your reason because the PC community is toxic. Yes, we got some toxic people in the community, but it's not as bad as PlayStation after what they showed us at the start of the new generation, of this generation. So get off my back with that.
Like when you're a new PC gamer and you come to the community for help, you'll get roasted for literally just existing. Like, oh, how do you not know this? How to do blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, dude, chill. Like, that's why I'm here. I'm asking for help.
Did you ask for help or did you wait a certain way? Like, if I was new to a community, I'll be like this. Hey, how you doing? I'm brand new to a certain community. I don't know much. You think you could help me out of trying to figure out certain things I should know about the community? Stuff like that. Even with PC building. Hey, how you doing? My name is so and so. I want to make a PC, and do you have any helpful hints? So it's a way how you go to people in general. That's how English and that's how us as a human race is supposed to talk to other people. So the fact that you probably went to it as a different way, they feel like that you was a troll or something. But that I might not be wrong. I might be wrong.
I need assistance. Like, I want to know things. And they're just be like, oh, well, that's like basic knowledge. And just like, they're just so smug about it for no reason. And I just never understood it personally.
Again, you're supposed to go to them. You're supposed to, with any community, you're supposed to go with respect. You know, just tell them why you're there in the first place. Because, in my opinion, typing out words and saying words are two different things. Even American Sign Language is when you do sign language, you're supposed to show expression. Like, hey, my name's, and nice to meet you, show your expression. You don't want to be like, hey, how was your day? It was good. You see how that facial expression is? You could tell that I know everything is, that everything is not good. So you type in on the keyboard, it's not going to show your expression. So you have to go to it as more words as possible. Like, hey, I'm new to the community. I'm just trying to figure out what's good with some parts. So you got to think of that in consideration. It's all about communication.
And like, even, oh god, my favorite, like the toxicity in the PC community is so great that they freaking rip on the console wars, right? They have component wars. Like, if you, for example, CPU, there's Intel, which is like the i7, i9, and then there's AMD, which is the Ryzen's, like Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9, Ryzen 5. there's like such a big like picky like back and forth between.
Yeah, we got fan base in our community. Yeah, people either going to pick Intel or AMD. Me, I don't care. I went and made an AMD system because I like what AMD doing. I'm not a big fan of Nvidia for what they're doing, but I'm not going to go ahead and tell them that they're trash. I just I would just switch from Intel to AMD, but I still say Intel is still a good CPU maker. So the fact that I try to say that I don't care about what CPU or what GPU I care about, I really don't, as long as it works.
Between those two, like, oh wait, like I remember I was asking about builds, and then I was like, well, I got a Ryzen because it's cheaper. They're cheaper than Intel processors. Like, oh, you got a Ryzen? Oh, sorry, I can't talk to you. You went AMD now, like I can't talk to you anymore. Like, what? Like we can't. Like they're just not happy for.
Pretty much, you went to the JTech of fanboys. Yeah, there are people out there that will die by the CPU that you get. So yeah, it happens. You ran into one. I never did, but you ran into one.
People who are transitioning the console into PC, like they're not happy at all. My first graphics card was an AMD, and they're like, oh wait, it's not Nvidia, it's not a GTX. Wow, what a screw. I was like, but AMD graphics cards are a lot more like affordable than the GTX or the RTX, and they're usually more readily available.
Question: why do you care about what everybody say? Are you trying to get validation or anything like that? Yeah, you choose the CPU the GPU that you could work with. If it's more affordable, then work with that. You're out here when people saying that it's like this. My mom, when I was growing up, they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me. And that's one thing I do carry with my life. You're letting words hurt you. If somebody say, "Oh, you got an AMD," ugh, I'm like, okay, and then what? It does the same job as a Intel, just because you got a little bit more features than this AMD does. Okay, I got a graphics card that work. So what? You should not let words hurt you. Some people will be like, "Oh yeah, you got an AMD CPU. GPU. That's awesome." Who cares? Who cares what everybody say? If you could get a graphics card because you could get it, then that's fine. Why would you care about what anybody say? You care about words. Words don't have meaning unless you put meaning behind it. And that's one thing I don't think you're doing.
So I started off with an RX an RX 560, and it just I got so much shit for that. Like what? Like, will help me? I'm asking questions and stuff like that. It never was enough. They're not happy with anything you do. You can have a top of the line PC. Like I remember when somebody asked me about it, I showed them my specs, and they're like, "Oh wow!" They're like, "Your CPU is totally bottlenecking that GPU, that monster GPU of yours. You should fix that." And I was like, "Dude, like my refresh rate is only 75 frames per second. My CPU for that is fine." Like.
You're the type of person I would not even help out. You ask for help. A person said that your CPU is bottlenecking the GPU. And you say, I don't care, my CPU fine, my monitor go up to 75 hertz. Anyway, you, sir, is sounding toxic, because I think the conversation is going like this. Hey, can you help me out? Here go my specs. Hey, can you help me out? Dude was like, all right, I got your back. Let me see your specs. You gave him the specs. He sat there and he looked at it. He probably said this. Hey, I just want to let you know that your CPU is bottlenecking your GPU. Maybe you might go with a Ryzen 5 or Intel 5 or higher, so on and so forth. You'll get better performance with your CPU and GPU combination. And you probably was like, well, I only got a monitor that's 75 hertz. So my CPUs work just fine. You asked for help, you got help, and yet you turned down that help. You, sir, are toxic because even though you got the help, you cannot appreciate the help. That's how dense you are. So yeah, you're the console peasant because maybe you might upgrade the monitor and you don't have to get that bottleneck.
They're never happy no matter what you do. So I don't know, toxic PC community. It's the most toxic community I've ever been in. I'm in the Smash Bros community, and that toxicity is pretty bad. But dude, there's so much elitism in the.
Dude, I want to say you're the toxic person. You can't appreciate the help. You're the one that's gonna call you're the one that want to go ahead and argue with stuff that helping you out. Yeah, you met some fanboys in the community, but you go ahead and label all of us. Yeah, there's JTech and toxic fanboys in the PlayStation community, but I'm not gonna go ahead and call them all toxic. You, sir, are a console peasant, and you, sir, are toxic because you can't appreciate the help that the community could give you. You want to go ahead and smash, disrespect the PC community, and not only that, your reason why console is better than PC is super trash. You're lying to your fan base or your community, sir. You cannot take criticism. You're sitting there, dude. I don't know, man. I don't know. You're very smug. You want to go ahead and say, "Oh, you cannot tell me anything different, dude." You're set in your ways. You don't care about PC gaming. You just want something to stream. And look at it. You saying PC is expensive? Look at your wall, dude. You got the Bayonetta amiibo. You got the Palutena amiibo. You got the Kid Icarus amiibo. You got the Mario amiibos. You got three Mario amiibos. You got two of the same amiibos. You got the Splatoon amiibo. You got the you, dude. And not only that, you got an iPad on your table. You got two sets of the same amiibos. Are you kidding me? Then you put up the Mario game on the wall, dude. I could pick and choose out your whole thing. So you tell me PC is more expensive than console? Get out of here.
PC community, even amongst themselves, even amongst like their
I'm sorry. You telling me console is more expensive than PC? Get out of here.
freaking component wars, Ryzen versus AMD, like versus Intel versus GTX, like it's crazy.
Nintendo versus Xbox versus PlayStation.
I don't understand it. Like, there's just so much entitlement in that. But anyway, let's go ahead and go on to our next point. So I've already talked about toxic gaming community. I've already talked about, toxic community. Nobody's happy for you. I've already talked about pricing. I've already talked about components being hard to find. I've already kind of like talked a little bit about, the game being the benchmark. But I mean, I think that, again, going back to no console wars, and they like to make fun of that Epic Steam store, that fight, Epic Steam, freaking, oh god, the Epic store versus the Steam store, like they freaking clash, and then there's just like, so much going on with that. I mean, it's just, it's insane.
Because you don't understand it. Another disclaimer. I was with the Epic Game Store, not buying the games or anything like that. Is this because of Apple and Epic? I dislike Apple a lot. But I wanted Epic to win, and I thought they was in the wrong and everything, that I was on their side. Don't get me wrong, I want them to win because Apple is anti-consumer and they don't want freedom. But Epic is so anti-consumer like Apple. They buy games to be on their store, even though it was promised to be on the Steam store. All their games is full price. They is not a competitor to Steam. They don't want to update their store. Every time you buy multiple games, you'll get banned off the site. It's so much stuff about the Epic Game Store that they don't care about the consumer. And the fact that you don't get that is crazy. As you can see, I really don't care about this cat anymore. All his reasoning is dumb, and he can't do a little bit of of research to get the right information.
I mean, that's like my final complaint is that you have to have different accounts. Like I need a Microsoft account to play, Halo. That's one of the complaints I have. You need a Microsoft account to play Microsoft games. You need a Steam account to play Steam games. You need, Epic Games account because they only have, a few exclusives. You need an account for almost every developer to be able to play their games, and it sucks and it's stupid. I can get a PlayStation 4, play all those games on that platform, and all I have is a PSN account. I will freaking pay PlayStation Plus over having PC's free online service any day because I have to make 1 million accounts to play just a handful of games. And it's just, of course, remembering the password for all those games, writing it down. Some need explanation points or special characters, some don't. It's just all annoying. It's all a pain just to be able to play some games. It's just like, dude, I don't have to do this on Nintendo or PlayStation. I just make one account. Well, for those two, just 2 accounts, I guess. A PlayStation account, Nintendo account, and bam, access to any game, whatever it is. I'll pay the $20 a year or the $60 a year. It does not matter.
So you rather pay $80 to have 2 accounts instead of spending money on LastPass, not sponsored, spending just money on LastPass and have all those accounts connected to LastPass. LastPass will remember all those passwords on your computer, and yet you want to spend $80 on 2 services. You want to spend money just to access all your accounts because there's too many options. You're a console fanboy. I'm done with you. I'm done. Let me make myself bigger because this video is done. After that, I'm done. Let me make myself bigger. I'll be right back. You want to spend $80 just remember 2 passwords instead of your reasoning is dumb. Your reasoning is stupid. And you say console is cheaper than PC. Get out of my face with that argument. You rather spend money on console over PC. Your PC is cheaper than your console. And plus you got all those amiibos, you got all that stuff, dude. I don't want to hear nothing. If I add all that money up and then all the years that you paid for it, I guarantee you spent more on console than PC. Get out of here, man. That's it with the video. I'm very irritated about this cat. This dude don't know nothing. Hey, let me know if I'm right or wrong. I'm sorry. It's just my head hurts. It's irritating. And let me know and see if I earned your subscription. Really, it's been a fun time making these videos. It's just work been in the way and everything, and I've been working crazy hours. So, if I earned it, if I earned your subscription, thank you very much. And like every time I say, everybody's human. My name's Sendo Q, and I'm out of here. Peace.